Welcome to thecoachesite.com. As always, I'm Hannah Bernard, and this week we are not only announcing 2 more keynote speakers for the 2014 Hockey Coaches Conference, but also bringing you an exclusive interview with the assistant coach to the Vancouver Canucks, Glen Gulutzan. But first, let's talk about Ryan Jankowski, who is the most recent name added to the presenting roster for the 2014 Hockey Coaches Conference. Ryan has WHL, NHL, and Hockey Canada scouting experience under his belt, with his resume including teams such as the Spokane Chiefs, Montreal Canadiens, and the New York Islanders. And Ryan also worked as an assistant GM for the Islanders for 5 straight seasons. Jankowski has had immense success during his tenure with Hockey Canada, striking gold twice, once at the 2002 Winter Olympic Games with the women's national team and during the 1993 World Junior Championship in Sweden. In 2013, Ryan was announced as Hockey Canada's head scout for their men's program of excellence and is responsible for all player evaluation and recruitment for Canada's national junior team and men's U18 team development and selection camps. If that isn't enough, Ryan is also responsible for the evaluations of the under-17 program as well. Ryan is a very exciting addition to the speakers for this year's event, and we look forward to his keynote speech on player evaluation. TheCoachesite.com is also excited to announce Glen Gulutzan as a keynote speaker for this year's conference. During this off-season, there were some big changes coming from the Canucks organization. Glen Gulutzan was not one of them. Yes, he still remains as the assistant coach to the Vancouver Canucks, and since he resides not too far from home base to Western Canada's largest hockey coaches conference, we thought we'd catch up with Glen to learn more about his experience as a coach and what he will be covering during his keynote presentation this summer. So we are here outside of Rogers Arena, and it's a beautiful sun-filled day, and we have the pleasure of being joined by Glen Gulutzan, the assistant coach to the Vancouver Canucks. Thank you so much for coming out today, Glen.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So we're in the off-season here in Vancouver, and we all know what players are doing in the off-season. You know, they're getting better, faster, stronger. What does an NHL coach do to prep for the next season during the off-season?
Well, certainly I walk through the locker room and watch the Sedins and Higgins and those guys getting bigger, stronger, faster, all that stuff. And I usually just head to my cubicle. You know, as a coach, you're just kind of looking at things, watching the playoffs like everyone else is when you're not in it. And then kind of reviewing some of your season and drawing some parallels to what you see on TV at night while you're sitting around there, and then coming in and chipping away at some little projects that you want to get better at as a coach, whether it be power play, penalty kill, whatever it may be. But that's what I'm usually doing right now, is just kind of looking at some video and going through stuff.
Awesome. So I always wonder this with coaches. Was that always your goal, to be behind the bench, or was it just a natural progression from player to coach?
Well, there was a bit of a progression there. When I first started out, I was a player assistant coach. That's what kind of got me into the role. And but you know, as growing up, as you and I did in Saskatchewan, I wanted to be a player, but after 3 or 4 years in the Western League, I knew that dream wasn't going to be realized, and I ended up going to University of Saskatchewan, got a teaching degree, and I always had in the back of my mind that I want to keep playing hockey. I want to keep playing pro. I played it in Sweden, but in the back of my mind, I always thought, I want to stay in the game as a coach or in some aspect of the game.
So you coached in Las Vegas for 6 seasons.
Yes.
And you had 3 consecutive 100-point seasons, which is just incredibly impressive. And then in 2009, you were named head coach of the Texas Stars. And then shortly thereafter, you were named head coach of the Dallas Stars, the NHL team. So tell me about that transition, and especially you being so young as a coach in the NHL.
Yeah, it was a quick, it didn't seem quick at the time, the 6 years in Las Vegas, but then all of a sudden 2 in Austin and then into Dallas, and it was a quick ascent. For me, I never started out with the mindset that, hey, I want to be an NHL coach, and I always kind of had the mindset that I want to win a championship at whatever level I'm at. That was kind of what was my burning desire, and that's what I had in the ECHL. We went to the American Hockey, Dallas. Joe Newendike hired me. We went to Austin, which is a great place for me to start, and we had some great success there as well. And then Mark Crawford was let go in Dallas, and all of a sudden I found myself interviewing for the Dallas Star head job, and I got it. So, but it was never the goal to be a head coach in the NHL. I think my goal every time was, to win a championship and do the best that I could at the level I was at. And it ended up taking me to the National Hockey League.
Wonderful. So fitting that we're standing in front of a Roger Neilson statue. Did you have any mentors growing up as a coach?
You know, I didn't growing up. I think that some guys over the course of my career kind of helped me quite a bit. And you know, Jim Playfair, who was the coach of the Calgary Flames, helped me quite a bit. You know, he was a guy that when I was young, starting out in Vegas, that he helped me quite a bit. Daryl Sutter was in Calgary at the time, and we were the affiliate of the Calgary Flames when I was in Las Vegas. So, you know, I got to be around those guys for 6 years and be around training camp and development camps and things. So, you know, Daryl and Jim really helped me there. And then, you know, you just pick up pieces from every guy that you coach with. You know, we mentioned Willie, Kurt Frazier, you know, Mark Crawford when I was in the minors with him. All those guys certainly played a role in you're picking up from, you know, I think coaches are the best thieves. So you're just kind of thieving off of all these other coaches and what they do good. And so a lot of those guys have had an impact on me as a coach.
So Glenn, you're a first-time presenter at the 2014 Hockey Coaches Conference coming up this summer. Talk about what you're going to be talking on.
Well, the topic that I have is D-zone coverage, so very interesting, right?
Yes.
So, no, it's we're going to do a presentation on D-zone coverage, and I've spoke at some other conferences before, the NHL Coaches Conference and haven't covered this topic, but it's one that I enjoy actually, and you know, when you do these things, it helps you in the summer, right? It's just something that, hey, when you're going through all your stuff like you and I talked about, it's just nice to kind of, when you have to put something together for a purpose, then you kind of look at it a little bit more.
Absolutely.
So we'll be doing D-zone coverage, and there's lots of little snippets there of from coaches like we talked about before, Mark Crawford, Daryl Sutter, things that, you know, you've learned and picked up, and John Tortorella over the years, that you kind of see some different styles, and that's what we'll be presenting on, kind of that type of coverage.
Cool. Well, I look forward to your keynote speech. The conference is going to be a great event. So thanks so much for coming out on this beautiful sunny day, Glenn.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Great. So want to make sure that you don't miss Glenn or Ryan's or any other keynote presentations happening at the 2014 Hockey Coaches Conference this summer? Well, there's an easy way to avoid that. Visit thecoachesite.com and purchase your tickets now to ensure your spot at the jam-packed two-day event. And if you haven't already, make sure to nominate an outstanding coach in your community who you think deserves the Hockey Now Coach of the Year title and a free pass for the conference this summer. I'm Hannah Bernard. Thanks for joining us. I'll see you next time.